The first movie they did together was called Swing Shift. That's where they met and fell in love. Then they got together and had a baby. She made the whole world laugh with just a smile. Goldie Hawn was America's sweetheart, won an Oscar, and became the queen of feel-good movies. But behind all the laughter was a woman looking for something real. She had 2 marriages that didn't work out. She faced heartbreak but still kept going with that same sparkle in her eyes. But now at 79, Goldie is opening up like never before about one man, the only one she says who truly saw her. The only one who could ever make her feel that way. And no, it's not who many people expected. Join us as we take a closer look at her personal life and dive into the love story that's lasted for decades. Goldie Hawn was born in Washington, D.C. Her mother, Laura, owned a jewelry shop and a dance school. Her father, Edward Hawn, was a musician and conductor. He came from German and English families and was related to Edward Rutledge, the youngest man to sign the Declaration of Independence. Her mother came from a Jewish family that had moved from Hungary. Goldie grew up in a Jewish home in Tacoma Park, Maryland. She had one sister named Patty. The girls didn't know they once had a brother, Edward Jr., who died as a baby before Patty was born. Goldie started dancing when she was just 3 years old. She took ballet and tap dance lessons and was naturally good at performing. At age 10, she danced in the Nutcracker with the Ballet Russe de Monte Carlo. That was only the beginning. By 1964, Goldie had already acted in Romeo and Juliet and was running her own ballet school. At that time, she had dropped out of college where she had been studying drama. She made her first professional dancing appearance in Can-Can at the Texas Pavilion of the New York World's Fair. Soon after, she worked as a go-go dancer in clubs across New York and New Jersey, but it wasn't long before Hollywood noticed her. Goldie got her big break on TV. In 1968, with Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In, her bubbly laugh, silly jokes, and bright smile made her a fan favorite. She quickly became one of the most loved faces on television. That same year, she got a small movie role in the one and only Genuine original family band. But it was her role in Cactus Flower in 1969 that changed everything. She won an Academy Award and a Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actress. Goldie wasn't just a funny face, she was a real talent. She went on to shine in big movies like There's a Girl in My Soup, Butterflies Are Free, The Sugarland Express, Shampoo, Foul Play, Seems Like Old Times, and Private Benjamin. In fact, Private Benjamin earned her another Oscar nomination, this time for Best Actress. In the years that followed, Goldie kept showing up in one hit after another. From Overboard to Death becomes her The First Wives Club, and even The Christmas Chronicles. She proved she could make audiences laugh across generations. But while her career looked perfect from the outside, her personal life was a lot more complicated. Asterisk, before fame knocked on her door, Goldie had a few early relationships. One of her boyfriends was actor Mark Goddard. She also dated a singer named Spiro Vandaris. But her first real love story was with Gus Triconis. Gus was a dancer and actor who appeared in West Side Story. Goldie met him in the late 1960s while they were both performing. She once said she wanted to marry him the moment they met. They got married in Hawaii in May 1969, but things started to change as Goldie's career took off. Gus struggled to find work. Their lives were moving in 2 different directions. Goldie was now a rising Hollywood star, and Gus felt left behind. Slowly, distance grew between them. They separated in 1973. Goldie didn't file for divorce until New Year's Eve in 1975. By then, she had already met someone new and was engaged again. Her divorce from Gus was finalized in June 1976, and just a few weeks later, she got married again. Goldie's second husband was musician and actor Bill Hudson of the Hudson Brothers. They met on a first-class flight from New York to Los Angeles. Their connection was fast. They got married on July 3, 1976, in Goldie's hometown. They had 2 children, Oliver and Kate. Both would go on to become successful actors, but the marriage didn't last. In 1980, Bill filed for divorce. He later shared that he had doubts from the very start. On their wedding day, he said he felt like the luckiest man alive, but then Goldie leaned over and asked, "Are you sure we did the right thing?" That moment stayed with him. According to Bill, he was all-in committed and ready for a family. but he claimed Goldie wasn't on the same page. He said she wanted more freedom and didn't believe in a traditional marriage like he did. After the divorce, things got even worse. Bill and Goldie disagreed on many things, especially when it came to parenting. Bill said he felt pushed out of his children's lives. Over the years, both of Goldie's ex-husbands shared their thoughts, and many of their words were not kind. Gus Traconis said Goldie changed after she got famous. He believed her success pulled her away from their marriage. He also claimed she started spending time with big stars like Barbra Streisand and Jack Nicholson, and that her behavior became wild and weird. Bill Hudson, on the other hand, didn't hold back either. He said Goldie tried to present a clean image to the public, but in reality, she was manipulative, cruel, and selfish. He also disagreed with the way she described their relationship. While he wanted a strong, close family, he felt she didn't share that same vision. He strongly disagreed with her idea that they had an open marriage. To him, that was never something he agreed to. Bill's biggest pain seemed to come from feeling like he lost his children. He was deeply hurt that he wasn't able to be the kind of father he had hoped to be. The wounds from that time stayed with him for years. Goldie Hawn may have been Hollywood's golden girl on screen, but off-screen, she went through heartbreak, disappointment, and emotional pain. She had 2 marriages that ended badly, and both her ex-husbands shared the bitterness they carried long after the divorce papers were signed. And yet, despite all the criticism and personal struggles, Goldie found a way to move forward. She raised her children, she gave back through her foundation, and eventually, she opened her heart again. Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell first crossed paths back in 1966. They were filming the one and only, genuine original family band. Time, Goldie was 21, and Kurt was just 16. Even though there was an age gap between them, Goldie still remembered liking him right away. "I thought he was adorable," she said in 2012, but nothing happened back then. Both were young, and neither of them wanted to date other actors. So their first meeting just became a memory, a sweet one, but still just a memory. What neither of them knew was that 17 years later, that memory would come back to life, and this time, it would change everything. In 1983, Goldie and Kurt saw each other again. This time it was during Kurt's audition for the film Swing Shift. That was when everything changed. Kurt had been out the night before and was feeling rough. He was hungover and nervous. When Goldie walked in, he blurted out the first thing that came to his mind. "Man, you got a great figure," he said. It could have gone badly, but Goldie smiled and said, "Why, thank you." That moment broke the ice. Not long after, they had their first date, and let's just say it was far from ordinary. Their night started at the Playboy Club, dancing to swing music. Later, they went to a house Goldie had just bought. Since she didn't have the keys yet, they had to break in. That's right, on their first date, they broke into her own house. While looking around the empty rooms, they ended up in the imaginary bedroom, and then things got real. But before they could enjoy the moment, the police showed up. They had to leave and continue the night at a hotel. "That was our first date," Kurt said. "It was a lot of fun." From that wild night on, things between them started moving fast once. Filming started on Swing Shift. Goldie and Kurt got to spend more time together. That's when the feelings deepened. Goldie said Kurt was very good-looking, but what really stood out was his honesty. He had no pretense. She shared, "I could tell right away he wasn't a womanizer." But what touched her heart most was how he treated her children. Goldie already had 2 kids, Oliver and Kate, from her previous marriage to Bill Hudson. She brought them to the set sometimes, and she watched how Kurt treated the. "What really got me was when I watched my kids," she said. "He was amazing with them. He was such a natural. It wasn't just a romance anymore. It was something stronger, something deeper. They didn't just date, they built a family." In 1986, 3 years after they started dating, Goldie and Kurt had a child of their own, Wyatt Russell. He joined their blended family, which already included Oliver, Kate, and Kurt's son, Boston, from his past marriage. They never got married, and they never felt the need to. In 2021, Goldie posted a birthday message to Kurt that said it all. "No, we never got married, but one thing that continues to grow is our love." She called him a wild one, brilliant, lovable, childlike, perfectly maddening, a father supreme, and deeply funny. Then she added, "I can't imagine my life without you at any age. Kurt Russell, you're the catch, and you're all mine." Through the years, they shared not just a home, but also the big screen. One of their most beloved films is Overboard from 1987. Goldie played a spoiled heiress who loses her memory. Kurt's character tricks her into thinking they're married. It was funny, sweet, and full of chemistry, just like them in real life. They even watched the movie together years later in 2020 when it came on TV by surprise. "It was so fabulous how we started," Goldie said, smiling at the memory. Their love wasn't just behind closed doors. They shared moments on stage too. In 1989, the couple walked out together to present at the Oscars. While on stage, Goldie said, "We fit in completely to the theme of the show because we're co-stars. We're compadres, we're companions, and we're a couple." Kurt looked at her and added, "There's only one thing, we're not married." The crowd laughed and cheered. Goldie smiled and asked, "Is that a proposal?" He answered, "Listen, we'll talk about it later tonight." And with a wink she replied, "We will talk about that later." It was playful, charming, and real, just like their relationship. In 1996, they made another public appearance, this time at the premiere of The First Wives Club. Goldie starred in the hit movie alongside Diane Keaton and Bette Midler. Kurt was right there by her side, proud and supportive. Their children were there too, making it a full family event. Over the years, Goldie and Kurt became grandparents to 7 children. They kept their love strong and their bond unbreakable. They laughed together, worked together, and faced life together. And even though they never had a wedding, they had something even more powerful: true partnership. In 2003, Goldie Hawn shared something sweet in an interview. She said she wasn't in a rush, but she would love to be a grandmother. "It would be so much fun," she told People. Not long after that, her daughter Kate Hudson announced she was expecting her first child. Of all the children in the Hawn family, Kate was the first to become a parent. On January 8, 2004, Kate and her then-husband Chris Robinson welcomed their son Ryder Russell Robinson. Kate was only 24 at the time, but she knew exactly why she wanted to start a family young. She wanted her children to grow up with her parents around. She once said, "I want children early enough to really experience my parents young. I want my parents to be able to see my kids graduate from high school." And just like that, Goldie and Kurt became proud grandparents. It was the start of a new chapter in their lives. But more unforgettable moments were just around the corner. In 2006, the couple attended the premiere of Poseidon in Italy. This was Kurt's big movie at the time, and Goldie was right by his side on the red carpet. He even gave her a kiss, something fans loved to see. Their real-life love always showed, no matter where they were. Fast forward to 2016, Goldie turned 71 and celebrated in style. She had her birthday party at Catch LA, one of Hollywood's most famous spots. She walked into the venue smiling, with Kurt holding a big present for her. But it wasn't just a night of glamour. There was a very personal gift waiting for her at home. To their daughter Kate posted about it online. She shared a picture of a fireplace Kurt had built in their new home. "My PA laid the stone for the fireplace in their new home," Kate wrote, "and if you look closely, he put a big heart representing Mama, and I'm going to say him too, with 4 little hearts representing us kids." This small act showed just how much love was in their family through actions, not just words. And speaking of proud moments, Goldie was glowing at the 2017 Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 premiere. Kurt had a big role in the film, and she was right there to cheer him on. "I'm always proud of him," she said. She hadn't seen the movie yet, but just being there for Kurt meant everything. But the most emotional moment came just weeks later. In May 2017, Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell were both honored with stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. It was a huge day for them. Not only were they being celebrated for their work, but also for their bond. The ceremony turned out to be a deeply touching moment. Goldie later told People it turned out to be a love fest. "I didn't expect him to say those things. I had no idea he was going to be so beautiful." During his speech, Kurt looked at her and said something that melted everyone's hearts. "To you, I owe my wonderful life. Simply put, Goldie, I cherish you. All the stars in the sky or on the boulevard can't hold a candle to that." He ended with, There's no one else I'd rather be next to for all of that than Goldie Hawn. The two kissed by their side-by-side stars. It was one of those rare Hollywood moments that felt completely real. Later that same month, Goldie talked about why their relationship lasted so long. Love, gratitude, compassion, because sometimes every man or woman will drive their partner crazy, she said. Their connection wasn't just about fame, it was about the life they had built together. One step at a time. In 2018, Goldie and Kurt were back on the screen together. This time they played Mr. and Mrs. Claus in The Christmas Chronicles on Netflix. It was their first film together since Overboard, and fans were thrilled to see them sharing the screen again. Goldie's part in the first film was small but sweet. Their son Oliver also appeared in the movie, making it a family affair. By the time The Christmas Chronicles 2 came out in 2020, Goldie had a much bigger role. She took on Mrs. Claus fully, and the film gave them both a chance to shine again together. Kurt later explained why they didn't act in more films as a couple. Goldie Hawn movies and movies that Kurt Russell is in are pretty different things, he said. It's not mandatory just because you live with someone, love someone, and enjoy working together that you should do 10 or 15 movies together. They were careful with their choices, but when they did decide to work together, it was always special. In October 2018, another family joy arrived. Kate gave birth to her daughter, Ronnie Rose. It was a big moment for Goldie and Kurt, who now had more grandkids to love. Over time, they would go on to have 7 grandchildren. Goldie and Kurt often shared photos of their growing family on social media, whether it was Ryder, Bingham, Ronnie, Bodie, Wilder, Rio, or Buddy. Each child was cherished, and the love between Goldie and Kurt didn't fade with time. In March 2019, they flew to Hawaii for Kurt's 68th birthday. Goldie posted a sweet video of them walking and laughing together. Even after decades together, they still had fun like young lovers. Later that year, in December 2020, they opened up more about their life together in an interview with People. Goldie said, "You've just got to want to be together. I don't think there's any way other than do it." And when asked why they never married, she answered, "Honestly, it's not about the marriage. It's about the people and the relationship and the will to stay together. If you want it, you can have it." She added, "You've got to give things up, but the joy and the excitement of being together and touching the toes of somebody at night is really a nice feeling. It wasn't just about romance. It was about comfort, understanding, and the simple joy of being close." In January 2021, they even added a new member to the family, a puppy named Roy Hawn Russell. Goldie shared a picture of herself cuddling the dog. It was just another moment that showed their warmth, their humor, and the beautiful life they had created together. Valentine's Day is romantic for many people, but for Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell, it's even more meaningful. It marks the beginning of their life together. On February 14, 2022, Goldie posted a tribute to Kurt, celebrating 39 years of love. Speaking of which, many fans have asked over the years why they never got married. After all, being together for 4 decades is rare, even more so in Hollywood. But Goldie and Kurt had their own reasons. In March 2023, during an interview with Variety, Kurt opened up. He said that when they first got together, people would constantly ask, "When are you going to get married?" "Why aren't you married?" he said. They both thought the same thing. Why does anybody care about that? They even went as far as to ask their kids what they thought, and the kids, they didn't care either. For Goldie and Kurt, that was enough. Just a few months later, in July 2023, Goldie added her own thoughts during an interview with CNN's Chris Wallace. She said that divorce was one of the main reasons she and Kurt never tied the knot. "It's always ugly," she said. She then asked, how many divorces actually don't cost money? How many divorces haven't hurt children? She said something powerful, something that explained their bond perfectly. "I like the idea that I can wake up in the morning and make decisions every day if I want to be here." In her mind, choosing to stay is stronger than being legally bound. It's about real commitment, not paperwork. In December 2023, the couple was seen in Aspen, Colorado, looking cozy during a snowy vacation. They held hands, shared kisses, and enjoyed shopping for winter gear. They looked happy as always. But a few weeks later, Goldie shared something serious during a chat on Kelly Ripa's podcast. She opened up about a terrifying experience. Their Los Angeles home had been broken into, Not just once, but twice. She remembered the first time clearly. They had gone out to dinner and returned home after just a couple of hours. "I walked into my closet and just lost it," she said. The burglars had broken in through the balcony, entered their bedroom, and smashed open her closet door. "They completely knocked down my door, which is a safe door," she explained. "They got a lot of my goodies, if you know what I mean." She believed the intruders were highly skilled. Goldie thought that would be the end of it. The odds of it happening, again, seemed low, but just 4 months later, she heard a loud noise while she was home alone. "I heard this big thump upstairs," she said. At first, she thought it was something else, maybe a loud sound outside. But the next day, they discovered someone had tried to break in again, this time while she was inside the house. Goldie admitted that it shook her after this. Goldie and Kurt changed the way they lived. They added personal guards to protect the home, especially when Goldie was alone. "I'm never without a guard now," she shared. And eventually, they made an even bigger decision. They moved out of their Malibu home and relocated to Palm Desert, 2.5 hours inland. It was a big move, especially since they had lived close to their children for years. Kate Hudson, their daughter, now lives in the childhood home, where she and her siblings were raised. She recently told Howard Stern that she was very codependent with Goldie and deeply attached to their family unit. "Our family is just nuts in the best way," Kate said. "Everyone is so different, but everyone wants to enjoy life. There's a life force in our family, and it's so great." Even with all the chaos, the love in the Hawn Russo home remains strong. But there is one question that is mostly asked: what made him the one? In April 2024, Goldie told a heartfelt story on SiriusXM's Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend podcast. She shared the moment she realized Kurt Russell was the man for her. It wasn't just his looks or charm. Yes, he was handsome. Yes, he made her laugh. But that wasn't what mattered most. It wasn't just because he was handsome and all of those things you get turned on by, she said. It was because he matched my devotion to children to be number one. Family was everything to Goldie, and when she saw Kurt share that same priority, it clicked. She knew he wasn't just a partner, he was someone she could build a life with. Their family has grown a lot over the years. Between Kate, Oliver, Wyatt, and their grandchildren, there's always love and energy in their home. But when it comes to their personal connection, Goldie has said it out loud. Sex matters too. In September 2024, she spoke to E! News and didn't hold back. "You have to have good sex," she said. She explained it clearly. Sex is something that connects you and creates more belonging. People who have healthy sex relationships usually last a lot longer. She also added with a laugh, "You have to be nice to each other on occasion." She spoke honestly about how hard monogamy can be, especially in Hollywood. "You're in the prime of your life. You are attracted to other people, potentially," she said. "But that doesn't mean you act on those feelings." Goldie said she and Kurt talk openly about things like this. They agree it's normal to find others attractive, but it's what you do with those feelings that counts. She said their relationship has elasticity that means it bends but doesn't break. It stretches but still stays strong. That openness, she believes, is one reason they're still together after all these years. By 2025, Goldie and Kurt had been together for over 41 years, and they weren't slowing down. On March 2, 2025, they attended the Oscars together. It was a fancy night, but their love was still simple and real. Goldie wore a bright yellow gown by Dolce & Gabbana. She looked stunning. Kurt wore a classic black tuxedo and stood proudly beside her. They were smiling, holding hands, and enjoying another moment in the spotlight at the event. Goldie was one of the presenters, but the real story was the way they looked at each other. All these years later, the spark was still there. Kurt was asked how he feels about their time together. His answer was as sweet and honest as ever. "I just love the fact that we met and we are still doing it. We still like being together." They've faced ups and downs, raised kids, moved homes, survived Hollywood, and even been robbed, but nothing, not even fear, could shake the bond they built. And maybe that's the real secret. Not marriage, not tradition, just choosing each other every single day. What's your favorite Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell moment, on screen or off? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to hit like, subscribe, And stay tuned for more incredible stories from Hollywood's fascinating history.